All right. I guess we are live.
Here we go. Let's do this.
All right. This is the first time we've done this Facebook Live. So
We're old hands at the whole Twitter live thing.
yeah, well, right. Periscope. Ever since Periscope and Twitter had their merger, I guess Twitter just bought out Periscope.
Mr. Lion has joined.
Whoa! What's up, Chris? Yeah. So we'll do it like this. I mean, ultimately, this is going to end up on YouTube. So happy for all of those that can join us now, and then those that are watching this in the future. Thumbs up. Good luck tonight, Chris. Good luck.
And if you have any questions about who you should draft, just let us know.
Yeah, just let us know. This may be like his in, you know? He's like, oh yeah, what are those guys like? Who are they gonna draft?
What are David and Viet thinking?
Right. So as you know, usually bros, you know, we generally do a lot of MMA stuff, and we got a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline for you guys. We got a big fight card coming up next week, UFC 228 in Dallas, Texas. Both Dave and I went to college in Dallas, Texas, so we're very, very fond of the city, very fond of the state. We're both Texas born and bred. So, well, Texas born and bred, Texas bred.
I was born in Texas.
Were you born in Texas?
Yeah, I was born in Amarillo.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that about you.
Jeez, come on, dude. How long have we known each
you
other?
moved away for a bit. It's the
I moved to
the
Georgia
details.
for 2 years.
Georgia,
little, yeah,
the
but I
details.
was born in Amarillo.
The details. My bad. How could I do you like that?
Come on.
All right, both born and bred Texas. We're all good. We're all square. Yeah, so we got a lot of cool things coming up for you on the site. Of course, every single fight, David hooks you up with the best betting advice. So you always
DraftKings daily fantasy advice.
Yep.
Yeah.
So shout out to the
picks.
the MMA community. You guys already know him well. He is I feel like you've done well for yourself there, right?
Yeah, I when I first joined, I joined their Pick'em tournament, and I won my first 2 seasons.
Yeah, so
one of the very few back-to-back champs they've ever had.
14 years as a couple. We're not quite. Whoa,
actually,
damn.
Yeah,
damn it, dang, Chris.
Yeah, 14 years.
You're right. We're old. You're old too. That's how time works. Yeah, so we'll have some cool stuff. You want to be on the lookout for David's article. We also have some cool interviews coming up. I got to speak with one Cody Stamen, who will be fighting Aljamain Sterling at UFC 228. Should be a very exciting fight, and I think one of those fights that, you know, it's pretty telling. You got 2 guys in the top 10. You know, whoever wins that fight, that's going to be a guy that pushes in that top 5. That's going to be a guy who's maybe a fight away from being in that title picture. Now, at the top of that division, it's a little bit hazy right now just because it looks like TJ Dillashaw will be doing that super fight with Cejudo. So who knows which weight class that's going to be in. But, yeah, it's an exciting time. You got Dominic Cruz, who really hasn't done much in a while, keeps having devastating injuries.
And just commentating, which he's actually pretty darn good at. So.
Very good. You're not ancient, Chris. You're not ancient, dude. I mean, hopefully. I'm not ancient, so you're not ancient. We're good. We're not we're not that old yet, my dude. So yeah, I think that's going to be a very important fight. So you'll want to catch that. Cody's a really cool guy. Very smart. Got to have some really cool insight on his approach to this fight, and apparently him and Aljamain Sterling, they got some crazy stuff. You'll have to check it out. Yeah, and then we'll also we got an interview with Curtis Blades, who will be fighting Francis Ngannou in Beijing. So you'll want to catch that too. I get to talk to him, kind of pick his brains, talk a little Brock Lesnar and his sort of jumping the gun in the heavyweight title picture.
It should be Blades. It should be Blades
fighting
DC.
Should be Blades. We got you. Oh man, boo, boring part. That's because you're not here. You're the life of the party, Brian. You're the life of the party. Dang.
Should
Man.
we talk about our league and how we're structured, just so
Oh, yeah, that's right.
people know about the draft?
That's right, because this is a fantasy football talk.
Technically speaking.
Right. Okay. So this is a dynasty league. We created this basically right after we graduated from college as a way to kind of stick.
10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. We have our 10-year reunion this year. Damn it, Chris. We are getting old. When Ngannou throw a punch over under 5. Under. Curtis will take him to the ground. Yeah. Curtis will take him to the ground. It'll be over. It'll be Dunskies. Yeah, so this was a way for us to keep in touch with some of our friends, but then like a lot of them were like, whatever, we're leaving the league. Oh, we got some video from Yahoo Draft Prep.
Andy Barron's giving me advice right now.
Whoa,
I don't need it.
Andy Barron's got a tan. Damn.
Someone's been in Miami. Dude, even he has like the hardcore like sunglass tan on too. That's crazy.
Oh man, players to target. Really, Kareem Hunt? I guess.
Or somebody drafted Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley.
Yeah, jerk.
Why the second pick? I thought I had the first pick. I had the last pick because I won last year.
Saquon Barkley. I say draft this guy with confidence. All right. Our draft is about to get started now, so we're just going to start kind of rolling in, start talking about some fantasy football related topics. David, what is the strategy going into the early part of the draft? What are you trying to accomplish here? I think oftentimes this is many people feel like this is the kind of make or break your season point. What is the way you approach it, and what is your strategy here early rounds?
Well, I mean, if in the first few rounds you kind of want the sure thing, if you will. It's not a time to make any reaches or anything like that. You want the guy that you know is going to be good. Obviously, barring any injury, like what happened to David Johnson last year, that kind of crushed a lot of seasons. But yeah, play it safe. Don't try to get fancy. Don't try to outsmart the gurus, if you will. If you got number 1 overall, then yeah, you're taking Le'Veon Bell or Todd Gurley. Like, just don't try to get too fancy. Don't go homer and pick your favorite quarterback or something like that. Just play it safe.
Like Jared Goff, who apparently was picked number 1 in one of the leagues David was in.
Yeah, Jared Goff went number 1 overall in my first draft of this year. So
don't do that. Don't do that. That is
don't be that guy.
We'll talk about quarterbacks in a bit. You and I feel like we have the same strategy when it comes to quarterbacks, which is no need to stress about it. I think there's about 20 viable quarterbacks fantasy wise. So why stress?
The difference between the number 1 quarterback fantasy points wise versus the number 15 quarterback fantasy points wise is pretty minimal. So don't waste that 4th round pick on Aaron Rodgers. Wait till round 10 and pick up Matthew Stafford. I mean, just build your team out and then go for the quarterbacks. Right. Except for everyone in this league, draft this quarterback's number 1.
Yep. Don't listen to this, guys.
Look at you, Chris.
I think you're right. As a rule, early rounds you want high floor, right? And you want to gamble on your high ceiling guys, like probably mid to the back rounds. That's kind of when you want to make up that variance gap. And the guys that tend to have a lot of variance. Here we go. We've started. Are your wide receivers? So generally speaking, I would say traditionally you want to target running backs early because there tend to be more wide receivers that have a high variance. You can gamble on them mid to back half of the draft. But David, I'm telling you, there's a trend that is kind of growing in popularity right now. No RBs. It's no RB strategy. It's just no running backs drafted in the early rounds. You're targeting for high-level wide receivers, maybe even high-level tight ends. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I think to a certain extent it makes sense if you can't get one of the, top 5 backs in the league. Then yeah, at that point, it could be a wash, especially in the running back position where injuries are so common and the backup can take over in week 2 and become, the star fantasy player of the season. But I think if you have that number 1, number 2 overall pick, you kind of have to go with one of the stud running backs. Yeah, if you don't get Bell, you don't get Gurley, you don't get Zeke, you don't get Barkley, then at that point, yeah, you can build on the wideouts and go for the second tier and just build a nice stable.
Am I reading this correctly? H-Town Ballers, you went Aaron Rodgers?
I just said don't draft a quarterback in the first round.
Over
Come on,
Saquon
Matt.
Barkley? Whoa, my dude.
Oh, I'm gonna win again this year.
Jeez. Yeah. So I guess one of the reasons why this no RB strategy has gotten so popular. Let's see here. I'm gonna throw a couple statistics at you. There's a 20% chance that a running back that you draft within the first 2 rounds ends up being a bust. That means finishing outside top 35 at their position. Compare that to a wide receiver that you would take in the first 2 rounds, and that percentage drops down to 8%. So basically what you're saying is there's a more surefire kind of like floor if you went with one of these high ceiling wide receivers like a DeAndre Hopkins, like a Michael Thomas, like a Odell Beckham Jr., versus a running back. Last year I had David Johnson. David Johnson got injured week 1. That was devastating. I think he was if not a consensus number 1, he was 1A, 1B. It was him and Le'Veon Bell. So it is a prove-it season for David Johnson. But so I think there is some merit to the no RB strategy, but it does make it really hard. You're gonna have to really pay attention to mid rounds, and you're probably gonna have to take some flyers on some of those rookies.
And you're really gonna have to work that waiver wire. At least in the first few weeks of the season, maybe throughout the entire season, trying to fill in that spot from week to week. It was doable, but it just requires a lot of effort on your part.
Yeah, and I think also what you want to do is you want to target those ambiguous timeshares. A good example was last year with the New Orleans Saints. You had a timeshare with Kamara, technically being 3rd on the depth chart, but it wasn't really clear like how they were going to split up that timeshare. And that dude really kind of took his opportunity and ran with it. So you want to target things like that where it's like, okay, we got 2-3 guys, all of which could be maybe the main guy, like if you're going to split it 60-40 or whatever like that, could be like the main guy. And you want to target those situations.
Well, it definitely helps too when that situation is a high-powered offense, like New Orleans.
Right.
You also have some offenses where you have 2 or 3 guys and it's kind of a little ambiguous. But their ceiling all their ceilings might be pretty low just based on the nature of the offense. So Cleveland last year. This year might be a little different, but certain teams avoid that offense.
Right. True. And so as we stated earlier, quarterbacks, it's an interesting position. You are a firm no quarterback chaser. Is there anyone this season at all that you might break that rule for? Is there a quarterback where you're like, okay, this guy should have gone this round, and man, he's still sitting there. I might actually target this guy.
I don't think so. If it's not before the 10th round, odds are I'm not going for a quarterback. I mean, a 2 quarterback league can change that, but I can't think of a single quarterback that I would break that rule for. I know Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, but there's a much bigger difference between other skill players on your roster in those rounds. And like you said earlier, there are 20 viable quarterbacks in this league that can make for a good starter in fantasy. So just don't reach. Just don't do it.
Right. No. I would disagree with you.
Be boring. Get Phillip Rivers in the 12th.
I think Deshaun Watson. I think I would target Deshaun Watson.
He's not keeping up that touchdown pace this year.
Has nothing to do with his Houston affiliation.
I had Watson in one league last year, and
what a dynamic 5 weeks or whatever. Hell of a ride.
Let's just say I won 5 games in a row.
It was such a bittersweet moment for Houston sports fans. It's like the Astros won the World Series. Next day, Deshaun Watson out for the season. It was like, come on, guys.
Well, I feel like it hurt the whole NFL world just because he was so dynamic and so much fun to watch. Yeah. And then it was just he just took the whole league by storm.
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
right. Yeah, you're gonna really love him this year. You're gonna love that connection to DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins is this a guy if you're in the top half of the in the lottery, you got the first round pick. When do you start considering picking like a DeAndre Hopkins?
I would go Hopkins. I mean, if he's still there in the second, you have to grab Hopkins then. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't let him slide past the second round. That's just impossible.
Right.
The upside is just so high, and I feel like the floor is high too with Hopkins.
Right.
He's going to get the targets, and assuming Watson is anywhere near what he was last year, it's going to be a fun offense to watch. So yeah.
Man,
he's the main guy in town. So
people doing everything they can to avoid Lamar Miller right now.
Yeah, we're in what round are we in? We're in the 7th round, and Lamar Miller's still available.
Yeah. Wow. Just as we said it. Ben, my younger brother, just
Matt Stafford went in the 7th round.
Dang.
But granted, this is a 2-quarterback league, and it's a dynasty league, so a bunch of these quarterbacks are already off the book. So we have a little different setup in this one, as opposed to a redraft or a rookie draft.
Yeah. So advice a little bit different for our league. Most of our advice is going to be for your typical, like your more standard league, even your PPR leagues. But again, quarterbacks is not really someone you want to chase. What is your impression of Andy Dalton?
In this league, I had Andy Dalton for several years, and he was a decent quarterback. I won a few championships with him, I think. But yeah, he's basically someone that's not even being drafted now, and that just goes to show how deep the quarterback position is, because he's, basically a viable fantasy quarterback, but he's on the lower end of it. So someone like Andy Dalton's not being drafted. So why chase? I think I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here.
Well, I think he's one of those guys, and just to illustrate that point again, he's one of those guys where like people aren't drafting him, people aren't even like paying attention to it. This guy had 3 top 5 finishes last year. Just to put that into perspective, that's more than Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers and Phillip Rivers combined. So it's just one of those positions where you can find value late. You just kind of let them come to you. You're going to be able to find a quarterback basically anywhere.
Speaking of, is there any, not necessarily rookie, but rookie and or first-year starter that you would specifically recommend this year?
No, yeah, Saquon Barkley.
No, I quarterback speaking.
Oh, quarterback.
Yeah, of course Barkley, but no, Matt Barkley.
Jeez, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Mahomes?
Mahomes is one of those guys that people are really.
That's the only one I would recommend that way. I still want to reach for him.
Yeah.
But I do think KC will have a pretty high-powered offense, assuming Mahomes is anywhere near what people think he is, because of all the skill positions on that team with Hunt and Hill and Kelsey. He's got the targets or like the options to throw to. And he's looked pretty good in preseason.
Yeah, and he's been getting a little bit of a hype train.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're saying they want to.
They traded the Alexander the Great Smith because Patrick Mahomes is going to start.
Alex Smith, the future Hall of Famer, legendary career.
With
the Redskins, so they're going to be winning the Super Bowl soon. So, and they also added a legend, Adrian Peterson. So this is a dynamic squad that the Redskins are putting together. All right, let's. So we going along the theme of going no running backs early. Now I know it's going to be hard. I know myself. It's hard to shake that strategy. You want to go in, especially if you have one of the top picks. You're not going to give up one of the top 4 guys. David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Gurley, Zeke. These are studs, surefire guys. And I wouldn't fault you for that. If you got one of the top 4 picks, it's after that it does get a little dicey. I mean, then you got guys like we talked about earlier, DeAndre Hopkins. You also have guys like Antonio Brown, and these are guys that they have a safe floor and just less risk of injury at that position. Those guys tend to last longer. You got running back injuries that just devastate squads. We talked about David Johnson earlier. Dalvin Cook was another guy that went down early last season. I mean, he was just a rookie, but he was looking really promising, put up like a couple big games before he ultimately went down. Some of the guys that you can, or I'm saying if you want to start targeting, the numbers are in your favor. If you are taking a running back from rounds 9 and back, you have a top 20 hit rate on one of those running backs of about 22%. That's about as high as it goes for any position across the board. And that's much better than, say, how you would hit with wideouts. So now that may seem like it's kind of contradicting what we told you earlier about wanting to pick wideouts later. That's kind of like your more conservative approach because they have such a high variance. You can hit on a big wide receiver later, but there are times when you hit on a running back late, it's due to injury versus just kind of like, like it's just merit. Like, oh yeah, this guy has shown like he deserves more targets. As a running back, it's like, oh, the guy in front of him dropped. And sometimes it's not even like that. You might be third in the depth chart, but it could be like you have your main running back and you have more of your passing sort of like special guys. So you take
Johnson.
Duke Johnson, you take like your like Chicago, right? Who's there?
Jordan Howard.
Yeah, Jordan Howard.
Terry Cohen.
Then you got Terry Cohen. If Jordan Howard goes down, whoever is the third back there will probably receive those carries. So it wouldn't necessarily go to Terry Cohen. Those are the guys that if you target in the later rounds, that's like a lottery ticket, right? So something to consider. Last season said lottery tickets, and these aren't lottery tickets. These guys didn't win you your league, but they definitely helped you. Guys like Rex Burkman, Dion Lewis, Latavius Murray, and then as we mentioned earlier, the number 3 player in all of fantasy sports last year, Mr. 1, Alvin Kamara. Who has Kamara in our league? I think it's your brother.
I think so.
Your brother. That was a good pick, dude. It's a good pick. Brothers, I should say. It's the Stephen.
Drafted
the Stephen.
4th by Californication.
Stephen and Greg duo. Good for you guys.
The co-managers.
Co-managers.
Their boys. Ones that crushed in the championship last year.
So you have that strategy, the no running back strategy. Most of you guys probably won't employ that. So you probably go with a tiered approach. I think most people go with a tiered approach. You kind of got your guys, like, okay, these guys are your studs, tier 1. You got to go for them. I think like it's not really an approach so much as like, to me, that just means that you're going best player available. So you want to go your high ceiling guys or your high floor guys in your first 2 rounds, and then after that, you're just going best player available, filling out the rest of your roster. So if it just turned out that the guys that you picked in the first 2 rounds were running backs, now it's time for you to start really targeting wide receivers. Mm-hmm. So if you did go with approach, you didn't get one of the running backs you wanted early, it gets a little weird because you get to the mid-tier, you got LaShawn McCoy. Now, when do you start drafting LaShawn McCoy?
I would like to avoid shady at all costs. I actually had this situation in my first draft this year where I ended up going wide out in rounds 1 and 2, just based on where I fell in the draft order and who was available. And so we got to the point where all of a sudden, I was realizing, there's a huge drop off in the backs now. So how do I approach this? So it's one school of thought would be just don't worry about it. Keep taking the wideouts. Keep basically going best player available and fill in those running backs in the late rounds with some flyers. Or you can go, which is what I ended up doing, was going for that kind of second tier running backs in the 3rd and 4th rounds, basically. The Lamar Millers, guys like that. Basically, you go for those guys that aren't flashy, maybe don't have like huge upside, but they are, the bell cow back in an offense. There's not a committee involved, not necessarily any lingering injuries to worry about. Kind of a relatively safe pick, I guess, even if it's not going to win you the league,
right?
But they're not going to lose it for you either. So.
Yeah, he's just kind of like in that tier where it's like, it's after all the good running backs are taken, and right before the guys that are kind of more of a prove it. That within that category of where I think you would start picking the LaShawn McCoy, I got another group of running backs there. From this group, who do you like and why? And I'm talking about these tier 4, tier 5 guys: Alex Collins, Royce Freeman, Kenyon Drake, Derrick Henry. And you've been a fan of Derrick Henry in the past.
I have. I feel like every single season I'm like, this is the Titans' year. That offense is going to blow it up. Derrick Henry, you're my man. he showed it last year. Like the dude has some real talent, and this year I think with the new coaching staff there, it's my turn to draft. Sorry. With the new coaching staff there, I think that he really has an opportunity to, build on last year's numbers. Sorry, you mentioned Drake.
Kenyon Drake, the guy he took over for down in Miami last year after Miami traded Ajayi to Philly and filled in admirably. Was really good.
He looked really good last year.
Now they brought in Frank Gore, and they're like, oh yeah, they didn't just bring in Frank Gore to like not do anything, but like know what Frank Gore has left at this point.
It's definitely a weird situation there with Gore because it should be Drake. Everyone knows it should be Drake, but
What you know about Drake? What you know about Drake?
But Frank Gore has this thing where he's like 40 years old and still gets like 20 carries a game somehow, even though he's averaging like 2.5 yards per carry.
Oh my gosh.
So I love the Drake upside. I'm not a huge fan of the situation. If Drake falls, a couple rounds later, then you snatch that guy up. But I have a hard time, taking him there in that area just because of the situation.
I also kind of feel like they're not necessarily like, I mean, Frank Gore is definitely not a pass catcher. I think Kenyon Drake can kind of add that element to his game, but it's one of those guys that like he needs his touches to get in a rhythm. You would like for them to go with the young man. He showed out last year, was pretty dynamic, and I think if Miami kind of featured him a little bit more, I think that's a hell of a steal that you can, well, not a steal, but a guy you want to target in the mid rounds. He's got RB2, maybe like at his absolute peak, maybe back end RB1 value, but I think he has solid RB2 potential. Definitely a strong flex play. I also like Alex Collins. Again, not a guy that's gonna like be catching passes or anything like that, but he was one of the bright spots for the Baltimore Ravens last year. Who are you looking at? What was that?
No, someone drafted my next pick.
Oh.
I should have drafted him. So it was Julian Edelman. He's suspended for the first 4 games this season.
Yeah.
And I was trying to wait one more round before I took him. But you know what? Julian Edelman in the 14th round is kind of a big steal.
Good steal. It's a great steal.
I should have taken him in the 13th, but I was like, nah, I can wait one more.
So we've been focusing so much on running back because running back really is it's the most important position.
Defense just went, guys. Defense just got drafted.
Minnesota. You'll love it when the defenses are. We still got Chris Carson, Tevin Coleman, Sonny Mitchell. That's a guy that I want to bring up. So with the success that the running backs have had, at least last year, I think it's getting kind of stacked. A lot of people are getting in like early rounds. Like your studs are always going to get picked, but I think you have a lot more sort of toss-up running backs that are getting pushed towards the mid to early rounds. That means that we're going to have a lot of nice wideouts that might be slipping back a little bit. Guys like Adam Thielen, guys like Doug Baldwin, Larry Fitzgerald, guys like that you could start finding in the 3rd rounds and 4th rounds. And then these are guys that I think absolutely you need to pick up if they're available. These guys will give you minimum wide receiver 2 return. And like, you want to talk about like guys, high ceiling, these are all, high floors. Right. These guys are all high floor guys, all going to be featured in their offenses this year. Well, looking at it, we got, we have some stud tight ends. I think guys like Travis Kelce, Gronkowski, they're probably going to pick like by 2nd round.
Yes, they're definitely. I think Kelce's. I can't remember if it was ESPN or Yahoo had him 16th overall.
Yeah. Which,
kind of makes sense. He's basically the main target in a pretty, what should be a high-powered offense. So, what it was last year.
Right. Is there a tight end that you just kind of enamored with this year in terms of like his value and where he's getting picked?
There are a few. Big fan of Trey Burton. The guy is an incredible athlete and has shown pretty good chemistry there with Trubisky and Taylor there in Chicago. And the other one I like is Njoku.
I am joking.
I feel like both those guys they're kind of similar in my book as far as where they're being drafted, and I kind of like take one or the other, late in the draft. I mean, I think they're both, the 9th and 10th ranked tight ends, maybe 11th ranked tight ends. But the guys have, very high ceilings, some high upside, and guys you can get, very, very into the draft, fill that tight end position. But both guys I like a lot.
Right.
It's your turn to draft.
Oh, wow. It's my turn to draft.
Come on, Crowell.
We got Isaiah Crowell. He's available. Let's see here. Let me
You're going Rashad Penny, aren't you?
Yeah, we got to go Rashad Penny here.
Yeah, I figured.
It's good. It's a good pick. It's a good value pick for me. It's a good value pick for me.
Rashad Penny in the 15th.
Yeah. And this was actually something I wanted to bring up. We got a decent, obviously you got like your stud guys, or you got some rookies in the mid to back end of the draft. You can target guys like Kieran Johnson, Sonny Mitchell, Rashad Penny, Ronald Jones the second.
Ronald Jones, I like.
Out of these guys, who do you? I mean, you just said Jones. Why do you like this kid?
I mean, to be completely honest, it's hard to have a correct answer here. Basically, you have to go off of situation and injuries. Any one of them could blow up. All of them could bust.
Right.
Honestly, I heard this advice from someone else. They're basically like, when you're trying to decide between 2 or 3 different players and there's no clear-cut answer, just go with the one that makes you happy.
Right. Oh, wow. This thing hasn't been scrolling down. Let's see here.
Oh, we got questions.
Sorry, guys. Sorry for all of that. Let's see here. What are your teams? Let's see here. David, why don't you talk about your team? What is it looking like? Your team is stacked. This is a dynasty league where we got keepers.
You know what?
David has done well for himself. He's loaded up. He's the champion. He's got Le'Veon Bell. He's got Kareem Hunt. He's got Todd Gurley. Is that enough?
Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen,
this is
Rob Gronkowski, Marquise Goodwin, Kareem Hunt, Jordan Howard. It's decent.
Right.
The year before last year, I basically wiped my entire slate clean and just dumped my entire team and drafted from scratch, and it worked out. It worked out very well.
Elia, who's the Tony Romo broadcast? The guy with the Cowboys hat. Also, just so the team that's won recently, by the way. So we're good. I'm good. Let's see here. So again, like we said, the focus in most of your drafts is going to be how to plug in that running back. Like your situation at running back. You're going to be able to find prospects at wide receiver at all points during the draft, but it's going to be kind of tough to fill in those running back gaps. So if you're going to go, if you haven't quite gotten the guys you wanted and you're starting to get towards the back end of the draft, like we are right now, you're going to want to start, especially if you're in a PPR format, you go after what, these pass catching specialists, a couple of the guys that would be people that you might be looking at that will be available in the back half of your draft, towards the end, actually. You got Duke Johnson. You got Giovanni Bernard.
Especially if it's PPR, Duke Johnson is a steal of where it's being drafted.
Right.
The guy's basically a wide receiver.
Yeah. Then you got Terry Cohen, who that dude is a dynamo.
I put Cohen and Johnson kind of in similar categories. The fact that they're running backs,
right,
but the way they play is essentially wideouts. And they get you wideout numbers, even though they're the backup running back. So you can get them late in the draft, and
right,
it works out well.
Right, and I think these are the kind of guys where, and late in the draft, you're not going to find your stud. You're not going to be able to fill in your RB1 gap, but these are guys that are great flex plays, high upside, and potentially these guys can fill in your RB2. Position, depending on the week. That's just the kind of upside you have in a PPR league with some of these pass catching running backs. Another name thrown there, James White. The guy.
Yeah.
Let's see here. There's some old. So I guess after those guys, you may be looking again for your lottery ticket style person, a guy that will give you absolutely no value. week to week, at least early on, as the situations stand with their teams.
Who took Prescott? Chris Lyon took Prescott. The Packers
Prescott,
fan of the league got Dak
I think he's had Prescott before though. I think he had Prescott. He had Prescott last year. He kept him. He kept him. It was like his second pick. He kept Prescott. But guys like T.J. Yeldon and Bilal Powell, these are guys that, again, they will offer you no value, but they're guys that if there's an injury, these guys are on teams whose starters have been injured before, so these are guys that you target. It's a lottery ticket, man. Go, Tiki Barber, Brian Westbrook. Dang, Leo hasn't played fantasy football since 2004. That's cool though, bro. That's cool. Man, I remember Brian Westbrook. That dude was such a beast. I remember early on, man. Had him. He would have those dual 100-yard receiving, 100 yards rushing games. Yeah. Freaking win you your league. Yeah. Freaking win you your league. It
was like LaDainian Tomlinson for a handful of years where he was the greatest player on earth.
Oh man, what a beast. What a stud.
I'm in a weird position now.
All right, so we're starting to get into the final rounds of our draft. We're kind of wrapping things up. Just a couple questions. I know you don't target QBs. Let's talk about some QBs.
I'm about to draft one.
Let's see who.
Derek Carr.
That's
my third quarterback.
Third quarterback. That's not a bad.
But we are a 2-quarterback league. So
2-quarterback league. I think you have Garoppolo and Carr. Not Carr.
Cousins.
Yeah, you have Carr. But
also Cousins that I kept from last year.
So
I'm not super high on Garoppolo this year, but based on how many keepers I had, it made sense to keep him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I think that makes sense. So I was going to actually ask you a couple guys that are coming back from injury. How much confidence should drafters have on draft day for these guys? I think we talked about Deshaun Watson. Full confidence?
I wouldn't say full confidence. There are a few things with Watson that give me a little bit of pause. That touchdown rate from that that stretch last year is just literally unsustainable. Right. So don't expect that if you're drafting Watson. Another big part of his value was his ability to extend plays, which if he's not, if he doesn't have that explosiveness, he's not fully healthy, that could be a little questionable. I'm not too worried about that, to be completely honest. What I don't like about Watson is the fact that I think he's being drafted a little too high based on last year's, month and a half long stretch. And he's not going to – he's good. He's very good, but he's not going to repeat that level this year.
I disagree. I think he will. I think he's that good. I think draft him with confidence.
He's the greatest quarterback of all time.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you got your stud level quarterbacks that are going really high. You got your Brady's and your Rodgers and stuff like that, and he's slipping right behind there. And if you're the guy that's like getting this guy after your guys like Russell Wilson and Rodgers and all of those guys are off the board, I think you win. I think he is that good. And even if he doesn't, those were video game stats. Yeah. But it's just like you want to prove it. You want to show like in a game that you can have that kind of upside. Russell Wilson has that kind of upside. Aaron Rodgers has that kind of Brady. And Watson showed that to you. And so like whenever you can add one of those guys to your team, I say go for it. So I would say draft him with confidence. It's just judging.
I do like him better than Wilson, honestly. I feel like Wilson is always drafted far too high.
Yeah.
With that offensive. I mean, Wilson's a great quarterback, but he's a better quarterback in real life than in fantasy.
Wilson about to get paid, man.
Especially with that offensive.
Rodgers got how much? Rodgers got paid how much?
But is Wilson getting paid in Seattle? They don't pay anybody.
That's true. Who needs a quarterback? Where you go?
What they need is a center. And a left guard and a right guard.
Where's he going to go? The other guy coming back from injury.
Carson Wentz?
He seems like he's been coming back from injury. Man.
Talking about Wentz?
Wentz is a beast, though.
Yeah, I see. But I feel like Wentz right now, I feel like that injury situation is so vague and cloudy.
Yeah.
I doubt he's available for week 1. I don't think people like I feel like I heard recently that they're not even letting people watch practice when Wentz is there.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of question marks around Wentz. Yes, he could come back and just be awesome like he was last year. But I mean, this is his third year in the league, and he's basically missing preseason. He's a young quarterback. He still needs preseason. He's not Tom Brady.
Right.
Gives me some doubts. Also, I'm a Cowboys fan, so Philly can suck it. Although last year's team was, even as a Cowboys fan, that was a fun team to watch. Like they were fun to watch.
So do you draft Nick Foles?
No. Nick Foles, yes, he's the Super Bowl MVP, but he's looked like garbage and
Super Bowl MVP.
He's looked like garbage in preseason. And like we were saying earlier, like there are 20, legit quarterbacks to start, and I would not put Nick Foles in that 20. Although I would draft Nelson Aguilar. That guy's a steal.
Who got him in our league?
I don't know.
I think I saw, maybe it was Conrad. Conrad, if you're watching, get on you, bro. Hearns. That's Dallas Cowboys.
I get one Cowboy on the team, right? And at this point,
Oh, wow. Doxson went that way?
We're in round 21. See, like I thought about going Doxson.
Yeah.
But I don't like the situation. He's basically a burner, and Alex Smith is now his quarterback. So.
Yeah, Alex Smith's got a cannon arm, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Now, Pierre Garçon would have made a killing this year if he stayed in Washington.
How is
it's my turn again? Jeez. Should I get AP? Should I go for AP?
Oh, man, come on. You got to. He's a stud.
I'm going Tyler Lockett.
How about Ricky Seals-Jones? I feel like every tight end that has like 3 names is going to have like a couple great games a year and then like just get massive.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Oh, man. Greatest tight end of all
I also
time.
have like 3 tight ends already.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do you got?
Well, I got Gronk.
You got Gronk?
And I got Njoku. And I got Eifert.
I like Njoku.
Tyler Eifert, my boy.
Oh, you got Eifert?
I got Eifert.
Eifert. A lot of effort.
No, but actually, to Tyler Eifert, I mean, like the guy gets hurt every single year, but when he's on the field, he has an incredible touchdown rate. He's basically like Jimmy Graham last year, where Jimmy Graham had basically like a touchdown a game. It felt like that's Tyler Eifert when he's healthy, but he's done it for more than 1 year, So, and as my third tight end, as we mentioned earlier, this is a weird league with very deep rosters.
It is a weird league with very deep rosters.
Just the only reason you should have 3 tight ends is if you have 37 roster spots.
But we don't even we don't play 2 tight ends, but we do have a lot of flex positions where you can play those tight ends.
You could conceivably play 4 tight ends each week in our league
if you wanted to. Yeah.
Actually, I think I have played 3 at a time before based on bye weeks.
Yeah.
Especially last year.
Man. Who do you think is who's your guy? Who's going to emerge as the number 1 tight end this year? I got my guy. I know who I think. I want to hear who you think.
So who's going to be like the number 1 overall fantasy tight end?
Yes.
Oh man.
Can I tell you my guy?
Yeah, go for it.
Zach Ertz. I think this is his year.
That makes sense. I can see that. I could definitely see that.
I think he's kind of grown. Like he has, and you talk about like tight ends with a high floor.
Mm-hmm.
Guy's got a high floor.
Yeah. No, he definitely does. He definitely does. This answer might sound boring, but Gronk, just based on the other receiving options there in New England. I know it's boring, but it's just kind of like, assuming he stays healthy, which is
no, but that's the thing, though. That's the big if.
Yeah.
The other guy, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Right. If he stays healthy,
I think oh man, maybe put Kelsey above Gronk. I don't know.
I think I like Kelsey over Gronk this year.
He's being drafted ahead of Gronk, which I think is a valid draft position. So
it's kind of crazy, actually.
So I should probably put more guys in my queue right quick, so I don't.
All right, I guess this is the.
I feel like this is going much better than last year when you kept talking to me and I kept forgetting that I had to draft.
I feel this guy. This just tells you like how like all of his success, complete luck. Last year he was like, "Oh man, that was so dumb. Why did I draft these guys?" A year later, yeah, so I won pretty easily. Haha, so smart using my noggin. We got video proof.
I do remember being a little not unsure, but kind of disappointed in the fact that I had to draft Gurley last year.
Man, so like, what was it like? Halfway through week 1, you were like, "Nope,
never mind. This is a good idea. This worked out." Yeah.
And you're cool with him being consensus number 1?
Yeah, totally cool. Works for me.
All right. And okay, now that we are towards the end, well, who are guys that you like to nominate as the what do you call it? Who's the last guy that gets drafted? What's his name?
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, Mr.
I don't know if I have a specific name for anyone, but what I like to do at the end of drafts when you're getting into the literally just like crapshoot, ultimate flyer kind of situation,
Right.
Just go for the high-powered offenses and grab a wideout. Grab the third-string running back. You might have a shot. It's basically just grab those ones where, based on the team itself, there's enough fantasy points to go around. So you're not going to go to grab Jacksonville's fourth wideout.
Right.
But hey, you're the fourth guy from New Orleans. Maybe some random no-namer in New England, because those guys always seem to pan out somehow. So if there's a white receiver in New England, odds are Tom Brady's going to throw it to him. If he's a white guy who's under 6 feet tall, Tom Brady's going to throw it to him. So yeah,
It's true. These guys type.
Well, actually, Chicago is kind of an iffy situation, but there's so many weapons on that team. Like, I feel like it's hard to pick the guy to draft there, but also hard to pick not the guy to draft there. So maybe one of the Chicago wideouts wouldn't be a bad option as your last pick in the draft.
Let's go over the wide receiver situation in Chicago. They got Robinson, right?
On Robinson, yeah.
On Robinson, that was their big. And I think you had him this year. You got him.
Yeah. Well, I drafted him last year. And then he promptly got hurt, so I figured I'd carry him over. I'm not a huge fan of where he's going this year in drafts. I think he's going a little high based on the situation. But as far as late in the draft, some of the other guys there. Taylor Gabriel's their number 2 technically. I think the one I like as far as drafting late is probably Anthony Miller.
Yeah.
I think that's probably pretty good value there because I think he's going undrafted in most leagues. So you can get him in the last round, stash him, see what happens. So not bad.
All right, let's start looking at. I'm gonna start looking at some of the teams. Let's see what we got. We got a draft board. All right. So let's talk about H-Town Ballers real quick. We got Matt Alexander. First pick, Aaron Rodgers. So surprising because to me, Saquon Barkley is like your that's your stud.
Especially in a dynasty league. Barkley,
so
man.
Weird.
Actually, so speaking of, I'm about to draft Anthony Miller with my last position player pick.
Yes. I love how you talk.
I talked myself into it. I did.
You talk yourself into it. Yeah. My last question for you is Jay Ajayi. Kind of like no one knows quite where to put him on the draft boards.
Yeah.
Is this guy like going to be like it's like he's potentially RB1.
Yeah, potentially.
He's also potentially barely a flex play.
Yeah.
So where are you leaning? Between those two, are you leaning more towards this is a guy that could potentially be RB1? I think safely. Well, I think if you draft him, I think realistically, someone that's drafting a guy, at least where he's being drafted, is probably thinking like more of a back end RB2.
Yeah. I'm probably a little lower on Ajayi than most people.
No pass catching. He's not going to add that
Right.
for PPR.
Exactly. And I feel like most leagues are PPR now.
Right.
You're right. He could be RB1 material. I just don't like the risk involved. And I'd rather avoid that. Yeah. I like my risk late in the drafts, not where Ajayi's going. So.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Let's look at David's team. Oh my gosh, what a trash team! Todd Gurley kept. Le'Veon Bell kept. Kareem Hunt kept. Rob Gronkowski kept. Stephon Diggs kept. Adam Thielen kept. Jordan Howard. So it's like you managed to get through the problem that most people have of like, oh man, when do we start drafting like a guy like Jordan Howard? You're like, oh yeah, I got you.
Just keep him.
As my backup flex. Let's see here. Conrad, new to our league this year. We're excited to have you. His team name, the Bisons. First pick, Odell Beckham Jr. He just made that money.
Yeah, he just made a ton of money.
He just made a ton of money. And last season, forgettable, mainly because he got injured.
I had him last year. It sucked.
So what are you envisioning for Odell this year? You seen a top 5 wide receiver finish?
I mean, he has the talent there. I think the bigger question is his quarterback. What does Eli have left?
Stud.
It shouldn't matter. Assuming Beckham is healthy, he should be fine. He should be good to go and be a top five wideout just based on talent alone. So should be top 5.
Yeah, and then we got he also got Dalvin Cook. The front of his roster are guys that got injured last year, so he's taking kind of a risk here, maybe targeting guys that were
maybe a little undervalued based on last year's injuries, but the talent level is there and very, very high.
Are you worried about the?
And you definitely feel like Dalvin Cook is going to be one of those guys that I feel like will pay off.
Oh yeah, especially in the second round. Dalvin Cook in the second round.
Californication.
Last year he had Leonard Fournette.
That's right. He had Leonard Fournette as kept him. He should have. Oh shoot, I'm up. I should be drafted somewhere. All right, guys. Somebody want to tell me who to draft? Just a quick comment.
Type in a name.
Type in a name. Any name.
He's got one big.
We got Ryan Tannehill, James Winston, a lot of quarterbacks, I guess.
Terrell Pryor.
Let's see here. Who we got? Can I go by ADP?
At this point, none of these guys are being drafted.
Oh man, did you see this? It's Darius Juice. Yes.
ADP of 49.
Hunter Henry. Baker Mayfield.
Oh, Baker Mayfield, man. Draft Mayfield. Just stash that dude. Oh, come on. Draft Dez. Draft Dez.
Dez. How is Dez not on anyone's team? Oh, I guess it's not.
Because he's not on anyone's team, literally.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
That's amazing.
Mayfield.
Nice. It's a nice league.
Oh, wait. We got another one? We go with
you got your defense. You guys got left.
Oh, yeah. How do we even search for defenses? Oh, yeah. Right here.
This is his first year playing fantasy football.
Yeah, my first year. Oh, Dallas is the number 1 ranked?
It's left.
Done. Is Dallas going to be I don't think.
Actually, better than last year. Well, I probably should be talking about this because I'm somewhat of a homer. I've read good things about Dallas defense this year. I'm not saying they're fantasy relevant, but they shouldn't be garbage. But in fantasy, it's all about those takeaways.
All right, let's see here. Bloody Mayhem. He didn't. He was like, I'm not even gonna stay for my last pick. What a jerk, Chris. What the heck,
One
dude?
pick to go.
You left. You're like 1 pick to go. Not important. Not important to this guy. Wow. We got a nice turnout for our league this year. Everyone showed up except for Ben. Thanks, dude.
What's he doing?
Shut up. I think he's actually at rehab. I should clarify. It's not like drug rehab. He's not like a addict or something like that. He had knee surgery, so
physical.
It's actually not
physical rehab.
I guess they call it PT. PT.
Physical therapy.
He's at PT.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Just leaving rehab would leave a different connotation.
Right. He's right. Let's look at his team. Wow.
Oh, he's going Patrick Mahomes.
QB1. Mariota. Wide receivers: Mike Evans, Golden Tate, Chris Hogan. No hate there. Running backs: Zeke Elliott and Devontae Freeman. Not much to hate there. George Kittle. This is a guy that's we didn't talk about him, but a high upside.
Yeah, definitely upside tight end. That's for sure.
Right. Jameson Crowder. I feel like he's like the unsexiest player to have on your team, but he always delivers.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't get Cooper Kupp.
Well, I think you got drafted before my keepers were up.
And then Jerry McKinnon, Lamar Miller, Mark Ingram, who he should switch out because, by the way, he's not playing at least for the first 4.
Yeah, I think it's 4 games.
4 games.
Yeah.
All right, man. So I think draft is done, guys. We want to thank you, all you guys that joined us live This is the first time we've ever done this live on Facebook. We might have to try it again. It seems
Why not?
it was. The reason why I like Facebook to begin with, and the reason why I chose Facebook was because Facebook allows you to do co-hosting. So when we were originally going to do the draft, David was going to be able to come over, and so this way on Facebook we could actually both do a live stream at the same time. But it's pretty cool. I think YouTube Live also has this situation where we could do something like this. If you didn't watch us live, then you're watching this on YouTube. So there you go.
So like, subscribe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, like, subscribe, BBYK. It should be right here.
Yes,
Right there. Maybe. Yeah, and then yeah. Hit the side button if you if you dig it. It'd be surprising that you watch this entire thing and whatever. You probably watched.
That was an hour I didn't want.
Probably watched a little bit of us ahead of time. You could also be confused. We are going to try to give you guys a lot of different type of content going forward. David, he's always giving you fantasy advice. It doesn't matter what sport, he's going to give you fantasy advice. We already talked about at the top of the show, UFC 228 next week. We are going to have a special. So Dave and we're going to be joined by one Matt Alexander. He's going to come on that show. That's going to be hitting you up next week. We also, like I said, we have a ton of interviews in the pipeline to come out. We talked with Cody Stamen, who is going to be fighting Aljamain Sterling on that UFC 228 card. We're going to be potentially talking with, I gotta check, but I think potentially talking with Gary Tonin, who is going to be coaching Ryan Benoit, who is also going to be on that UFC 228 card. That's a little bit of I don't think he's not from Texas, but he fights out of Texas. He lives in Dallas, Texas now. So, you got the home crowd support there. It's got to be nice. And then also we did get to speak with Curtis Blades and his upcoming fight with Francis Ngannou. You guys are going to want to check that stuff out. And, of course, after we cover UFC 228, you'll still want to stay abreast of the situation on brosbros.com, because you're going to have David Bridges. He's going to hook you guys up with some fantasy advice on how to bet on that card. So if you were like, hey, I want to watch some awesome fights, but I also want to make some money, so you're going to want to check that
Who doesn't
out.
like extra cash?
Right. And I'm just going to ask you real quick, just to throw it out there. We got the main event, welterweight title fight, Woodley versus Darren Till.
Right.
Where are you landing on that one? It's a little teaser.
As a pick'em, picking the fight, I'm leaning Woodley. As far as daily fantasy is concerned, I think I'm avoiding it. Yeah,
avoiding it.
It's Tyron Woodley, y'all.
It's Tyron Woodley. He's if anything else, he's a smart fighter.
Very smart fighter. Very talented and skilled fighter. But,
so you guys can check that out there. And thank you so much again for those of you that joined us live. Had a lot of fun. And for those of you that are watching this afterwards, a little bit of kind of a Back to the Future type thing. You're watching this later, but thanks for checking out too. Until next time, guys, we are the Bros.